Hello, this is Edith Newmeyer, and I'm the author of the book The Mystery of Adam, where I thought I was done with the Jews in my last video, but I have noticed when I was looking up for a picture for the Jews, or actually I put in Judaism, I was just like shocked what I found. And so I really need to do another video on not the Jews, but Judaism. Okay. Now, again, I have talked about this a lot about the history of the Jews. And I talked in my last video a little bit about this development of Judaism. And when I looked up a picture for this topic, I typed in Judaism, and what came out most of the time, and I'm again looking for images, was the Star of David. And I thought, that is really odd. The Star of David, Judaism? I would rather think the Star of David is more, the symbol of Israel, not necessarily Judaism. Because I know traditionally the menorah is the symbol of Judaism. And there are some with the menorah on it, but very, very few. The main pictures are, when I put in Judaism, is the Star of David. So there's another thing I found, okay, which was really baffling to me. And that is, on one of the pictures, it says, Abraham founded Judaism in present-day Israel about 4,000 years ago. Now, is that a correct statement? Now, a lot of people would just take that and run with it. And is that really true? Did Abraham really found Judaism? Not that I know of. Abraham was not even the founder of the Mosaic law, so the Levitical priesthood. He wasn't even the founder of the Levitical priesthood, which the Jews claim to follow today, even though they can't, because most of the Levitical practices cannot even be practiced today because they don't have a temple. So my question is, what do the Jews really follow today? Okay, what do they really follow today? What is Judaism based on? Is it based on what Abraham taught? Because we don't know too much what Abraham taught. That was not written down. We know what Moses instructed the Israelites, all of them, right? We know that, but that doesn't go back to Abraham. See what happens, yes, they got instructions from Abraham, and they were supposed to follow them. But number one, during Egypt's time, they didn't follow it anyways. They fell into idolatry. Okay? So when Moses came and led them out of the promised land, they continued with their idolatry. The first thing that they did when Moses went up to Mount Sinai to get the instructions of God, they erected their own idol. Okay? So when he came down, they were idol worshiping, all of them. Even Aaron made the idol. Now I'm sure all of them didn't, but the majority did. The majority for sure did. And so what God did, he destroyed the majority of them. Okay? The majority. And in addition, he put them under the law. He wanted to destroy them all. And Moses said, no, Lord, please don't do that. And so I guess the Lord had mercy, and he put them under the law, the Levitical law. That Levitical law did not come from Abraham. What God wanted with the Hebrews right then and there, he wanted them to become real priests, all of them, okay? Almost like going under grace, but of course it didn't happen, and God knew it wouldn't happen. So he put them under the law as a taskmaster. And when you read Paul, you will find that the law was given as a taskmaster until the Messiah comes. Now, I cannot imagine the Hebrews didn't know that. They knew that. Okay? They knew about the Messiah. They knew about the Savior coming. The prophets told them about the Savior coming. So they didn't know it. But as time passed, they forgot. Okay? Because they again went into idolatry. Remember, they wanted a king. And so God said, okay, you can have a king. But the kings misled them. They misled them. I'm not saying it was the kings because the Israelites were already prone to idolatry. Okay? So that was just really convenient for them. But the kings probably made it worse. So the kingdom split into two. Israel, the kingdom of Israel, which was the northern tribe, and the kingdom of Judah, which was the southern tribe, or the southern kingdom. That was called Judah. Why? Because Judah was left alone. 10 tribes left Judah. Okay? There were only two tribes left, Judah and Benjamin, and the rest split off. The kingdom of Israel, they, from the beginning, fell into idolatry. Okay, all their kings were bad. And so they were taken into captivity. God divorced them. People, you better listen to this, okay? Because that's important. Now, I know people don't want to believe this. Where is it in Jeremiah? And I even think Isaiah, I just read it last night. There's something in Isaiah about God divorcing his people, okay? So in Jeremiah, I believe you can find it. He divorces Israel, the kingdom of Israel, okay? Divorces them. They go into exile. They never ever come back again. All this hoopla about bringing the Israelites back is nonsense. Why? Because God divorced them. They lost the inheritance for the land, okay? With the old covenant, they lost the inheritance, the right to inherit the land. So bringing them back is not going to change God's mind. Okay? Now the Jews came back from the Babylonian captivity. They were kicked out of the promised land as well, but God allowed them to come back to give them a second chance. Okay? And of course, to bring forth Messiah. Okay? Because that's what he promised Abraham. And he could not go back on that word. So he promised that from Abraham, out of Abraham's seed, out of Judah's seed, okay, which was actually prophesied, a Messiah would come. It's not because of what Judah did, but what Abraham did, okay, what Isaac did and what Jacob did. But Jacob did prophesy that the Messiah would come out of Judah. Okay? So, that's why the Jews, Judah, could return. Now, did they have a right to the land? No. They never got the right to actually rule the land. They tried to take it back several times, but it didn't work. It wasn't long. Okay? Like the Maccabees and, different ones tried very hard to free themselves from their oppressors, but it didn't work. So then finally, they were totally, again, dispersed, almost destroyed, okay, almost destroyed, and sold into slavery, okay, and sold into slavery between 70 and I think 120 AD. And then they were all gone. There were probably just a few farmers or something left. Poor people were left in the promised land. And so they intermingled with the people there. And also, when the whole thing was under Muslim kind of rule, most of them also became Muslim. Okay, so today they may be Jews, but they are Arab, or they are Muslims. They are looked at as Muslims. Okay, so only Judah kind of came back again to the promised land, and during that time, and I believe also during the time of the Babylonian captivity, they kind of developed their own little religion. Okay, they didn't have a temple during that time in Babylonian captivity, so they developed their own little religion. They came back, and yes, they did establish the temple, but they continued with this little, creating their little interpretation of Torah. Okay, so when Jesus came, they were totally, they just had messed everything up. And Jesus was very open about that. So this thing about Abraham founded Judaism is very wrong. Judaism means the religion of the Jews. Okay, Judaism. Okay, Judaism. It doesn't mean Hebrewism. It doesn't mean Israelism. It is Judaism. Okay, it is a religion of the Jews. And it is not even, because they were scattered all over and they couldn't practice most of the laws, the Levitical laws, right? They again continued to interpret Torah and the prophets and came up with their own little system of being saved. Really, what it is, they made up their little system about being saved. So all this stuff, what people say, oh, you know what, the Jews, they're the descendants of Abraham. Yes, they are, but they're not really following in the footsteps of Abraham. If they would, Jesus said that, if they would follow in the footsteps of Abraham, they would follow in the footsteps of Moses, they would have, or the prophets, they would have recognized Messiah, and they didn't. Why? Because their religion prevents them from following Messiah. So what is their religion? Well, number one, their religion is not built on, again, the Levitical law, but it's built on Talmud. And Talmud is a written account or an interpretation, a written interpretation of Torah. So Jews don't just read the Torah and study it and pray about it. They study Talmud. Okay, Talmud is written by quite a lot of interpreters, rabbis, who told the Jews what to believe. And it's not just about Torah. It's about just everyday life, how to function in everyday life. So they developed this system over a long time, almost 3,000 years, maybe 2,500 years, how to live in a world, without, number one, without the temple for 2,000 years, right? And number two, they made the system extremely legalistic. Let's put it that way. And in addition, they mixed it with a lot of occult things, which came out of Kabbalah. Kabbalah is Jewish mysticism, which developed, some say, just during this time when the Jews, were living in exile, the 2,000 years. But personally, I believe this mysticism started way, way before, they were going into exile. I believe that the Pharisees during Jesus' time already mixed in mystical things into Judaism. Okay, so Judaism is very, very influenced. Many of the rabbis are influenced by mysticism. So what is Jewish mysticism, or what is Kabbalah? Kabbalah is, again, a system of how to make it into heaven. It's a man-made system how you can get to heaven, what to do in order to get to heaven. That's basically what it is. And it borrowed highly from occult practices, very highly. So now we're coming to the Star of David. Why in the world do we have the Star of David as a symbol of Judaism? Now, how in the world does that end up? How long has the Star of David, what they call Star of David, been around? So I tried to do a little bitty research on that. And I used to just, oh my goodness, Star of David. I had a Star of David myself until I realized, wait a minute, there is something wrong here. Very, very, very Kabbalistic, if you want to say, the star. It's and I don't want to go into detail because I'm not even sure if most people are aware of what Kabbalah is. But yeah, it's a symbol. It's a six-sided star, of course, right? The Star of David is. It does not go back to David. People say it goes back to David. It was on his shield, but there is no proof whatsoever that David had this picture. The star on his shield. Now, it's more likely that the star goes back to Solomon, and that Solomon. Some people say that Solomon had a ring with which he could control demons. And we know that Solomon started out pretty good. He followed the Lord, or at least they say so. But then they said, oh yeah, his wives deceived or misled him, to follow these false gods. And it doesn't matter who did it, what did it, whatever, he did it. He was the wisest man. He should be wiser than following his multiple wives. But he did it. And I believe it goes back to Solomon, because Solomon brought in a lot of occult practices into Judah. Okay, that's why lots of people like the Freemasons are very interested in anything that has to do with Solomon. And guess what? Who also uses this symbol? The Freemasons. Now, if you don't know about the Freemasons, maybe you need to do a little research about them. Okay? The Freemasons are really very strongly in the occult. They don't say that, they don't come out, and I don't think the average Freemason knows that. But it is very occultic. Their symbolism is very occultic, and that's what they go by. They go by all kinds of symbolism. Yeah, they're going by a lot of Solomon's things, like Solomon's temple, okay? So that's why I believe this Star of David, which is really not the Star of David, goes back to Freemasonry, okay? And Freemasonry goes all the way back to the Knights Templar, who during what was it called? when the knights went down to Jerusalem to free Jerusalem, these knights were just looking all over in Jerusalem to find stuff, about the temple. And of course, that was a long time ago, 1300 maybe, or even earlier. And they were down there just going through the rubble and finding everything about the temple, okay? And out of these knights came the Knights Templar. And they hoarded a lot of these secret things, okay? Occult secret things. That's why we find this symbol, this, what they want to say, Star of David symbol, in even the churches. Okay, that's why. Not because the Roman Catholic Church is very happy about the Jews. No, that's not it. This is older than the Jewish state. Okay, and I'm going to continue a little more so you understand things better. The symbol is a lot older than when the Jews even adopted this as a symbol. Okay, and I'm going to get to that. So this goes way back to the Knights Templar. Now, who brought this into Judaism? Okay, that's the question. Now, again, the Jews didn't use that, even though I believe it goes all the way back to the secret occult things that Solomon started. I don't think that this symbol was really used even during Jesus' time by the Jews. That happened later. Again, a little bit before I go further and how the Jews got to it, this six-sided star, okay, symbolizes, okay, you heard about 666, right? Well, that's what this is going back. This is, some people believe, and when you do research, I went to some of the research, and some people say no, and some people say, oh yeah, that's definitely going back to a pagan god named Remphan. And it's supposed to be the star of Remphan. And Remphan is like Moloch or Baal. They're all gods that the Israelites used to worship. And that's how it most likely came into the hands of Solomon. Okay? And also it infiltrated into what we today have, Judaism. Okay? So it is the star of Remphan. Now do your research. If you believe it or if you don't believe it, I don't know. But my research shows it goes that exactly there. Now, how did the Jews get to this star? Well, this star was, now I'm going to have to find my little thing here. There was in the, let me see, 1648. In 1648, a Viennese Jesuit suggested this sign to Emperor Ferdinand III to give it to the Jews as a thank you or as an assigned flag of honor, okay, to the Jews. Now, look it up. I mean, that's what I found. So that's how far I could go back. That it was actually made up. Now, why did this Viennese Jesuit come up with that sign? Do know. Why? Because it's a cult symbol. That's why. Okay, it's an occult symbol. It comes it is a symbol coming from the Freemasons or from the Knights Templar. Okay, so they gave it to the Jews as a symbol of appreciation for fighting in the 30-year war. Okay, now the Jews were really the rabbis were very hesitant to accept that symbol. But this guy that many people know called Rothschild. Okay, now I'll tell you it's not Rothschild. I don't know why they're pronouncing it Rothschild. I'll tell you what the German word is. Rothschild. That's the German name, because this guy Rothschild, the first Rothschild, was actually, his last name was Bauer, and he was from Frankfurt, Germany. And he used that sign, I think, I'm not saying for the first time, but he used it as a sign in front of his door. His sign, okay? A flag of honor. He used it in front of his door. Now, Rothschild means red sign. That's what that means. Or shield is more like this flag of honor, right? It's like a sign, okay? And he had that, but in red, okay, in front of his house. And so he named himself after that Rothschild, okay? And after that, the Jews were more reluctant to actually use that sign. And in 1897, it became the symbol of, guess what? Zionism. Okay? Zionism. So if you haven't heard about Zionism, again, look it up. I may talk about it a little more. But that's what it was. And then you know the rest of the story, right? Because guess what? I also found another sign here with the yellow star, and what is written in it? Jude, Jew. That's what then Hitler used to put on the Jews so he would recognize who a Jew is. He used their own sign, the sign of Zionism, which already was established 1897. He used that sign, okay, a Zionism, and he used it in yellow. Because, why yellow? Because it was probably easier to see and recognize, okay? But he used exactly that star, and he put inside Jude, which means Jew, okay? So yeah, that is the story of the Star of David and how it, and then of course we can continue, because then the Zionists, they established the state of Israel, and they used that symbol again as the symbol of the state of Israel. And now this symbol is becoming also a symbol of Judaism, which it was not before. The traditional symbol of Judaism is really the menorah. But it is showing you clearly that Judaism is a mix, and it is something that the Jews made up. Okay? The Jews made it up. Not just recently. The Jews made Judaism up from the time they returned maybe from the Babylonian captivity. They continued to work at it. They continued to interpret Torah the way they wanted it. They really didn't follow, the law of Moses, and they made all kinds of excuses. And as they left the as they were kicked out of Judah, the land of Judah, they didn't have any more connection to the temple, and more of this occult stuff and this mysticism came and was mixing with this religion, okay, this Jewish religion. And that's what we have today, called Judaism. It's a very strong mix of many, many things, okay? It's not clear anymore. Judaism is not about God. It is not about God. It is about a religion that the Jews created. And that's why they cannot see Messiah. See, so many people say, oh, the Jews cannot see Messiah because God blinded them. Well, why did he blind them? Why? Because they rejected Messiah. Because they were blind in the first place. Okay? They were blind in the first place. And so God made it even harder for them to recognize Messiah. Now today we have a lot of Jews who do recognize Messiah. Okay? So we have a lot of Jews that are trying to leave Judaism and follow Messiah. They have to leave Judaism. They cannot continue Judaism. And well, I shouldn't say they can't, okay? Because some actually want to mix it. Some again want to mix Judaism. Oh, we're so proud. We're Jews. We're so proud, but that will create problems. That will create tremendous problems because, again, I said it's a man-made religion. It is really a man-made religion, okay? If you think otherwise, please convince me. Please convince me. Show me anywhere where Judaism is actually coming from God, where Judaism is really coming from Moses and the law of Moses. Show me where Judaism is coming from the prophets. They are rejecting the prophets. They're rejecting Messiah. They're rejecting the prophets. Okay? The prophets clearly shows who Messiah is. They show, but no, they do not want to follow the prophets. They do not want to follow Moses. They don't want to follow Abraham. Because if they would follow Abraham, they would see the truth. I am sorry, but I have to come down on this so hard because I want the Jews to be saved too. I am not against the Jews. I want them to see who their Messiah is and not be rejected by God. This whole stuff about telling the Jews or believing that, oh, the Jews will have a chance somewhere at the end is wrong. Okay? It's wrong. Right now is the time. Right now is the time to make a decision for Messiah. Right now. Not, during the tribulation time that doesn't even exist. Okay? It's too late. It's too late. Once the bride of Christ is taken out, and I don't want to use church, the bride of Christ is taken out, it is going to be too late. Okay? Well, yeah, they have a chance. They can be, staying in Israel and help the Messiah rule this earth. But it doesn't make them really the bride of God. Okay? It doesn't make them the bride of God. So, anyways, I will finish up today. I really have enough. And I know people don't want to just hear me just talking and talking and talking. So, let the Holy Spirit guide you. Please, if you have any questions about anything, put it in the comment section. And also, look up my Facebook group. It's called the Mysteries and Conspiracies, which help understand Bible prophecy. So, have a wonderful day.